Not me today.
Normally, James, it sounds like that's a surprise, James.
No.
Oh,
It smells good. I just got close. I got closer to her.
okay, okay.
You smell better than usual. It's a different fragrance.
Boy, boy, it's all kind of places we can go with that one. I'm gonna try to hold back. I'm gonna try to hold back. All right, y'all.
You don't have a variety of them.
Good morning. Good to see everyone here. All right, so we were in lesson 8, right? We're gonna try to finish that up today because I won't be here Wednesday. So we were in Romans, right? And we were talking about what? The one another's, right? The one another's, the one another's. What are the one another's? What are the one another's, right? It's kind of a instruction for how we should be treating one another, how we should be greeting one another, the things we should be doing with one another, right? So we're talking about success, right? And we talked about, first we discussed what we thought success was, and we talked about what biblical success was and is, and how God wants us to be successful, and how what we need to do to be successful, because we need to be successful um, by pursuing His ways and following His commands and doing the things He has asked us to do, and He will give us the desires of our heart, right? We talked about that a little bit, right? All right. All right. So now we're here in the one another's. How should we be doing? How should we be socializing with one another? Well, how should we treat one another? How should we greet one another? Things of that nature. So we discussed 2 or 3 of them already, um, I believe. So let's go to someone go to Romans 13. I think it's a very important one. All of them are very important. This is another very important one. So Romans 13 and 8. Romans 13 and 8. Someone read that, please. Oh, by the way, you all look so nice in your pink. It's that's good. That's good. Look good.
Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another, for he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law.
Okay. Okay. Oh, oh, nothing to anyone, right? Except to love one another. All right. So you love your neighbor, you have fulfilled the law. I believe Mr. Hall prayed about that just a few minutes ago, didn't he? By loving our neighbor. So what does it mean to love? What does it mean to love? Let's go to First Corinthians. I think we got a good definition there. First Corinthians 13, just in case y'all were wondering. And it's something that I think we've all read several times. First Corinthians 13, read verses 4 through 7. So what is love? How do we love somebody? What is love? What does it mean? 4 through 7.
Love is patient, love is kind. It is not jealous. Love does not brag. It is not arrogant. It does not act disgracefully. It does not seek its own benefit. It is not provoked, does not keep an account of wrong suffering. It does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. It keeps every confidence. It believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things.
All right, all right, all right. That tells us about what love is and what love isn't, doesn't it? All right. So when you don't have patience with someone, when you're in that car behind them and they're at the red light and they turn green and you sitting there back behind there, you just waving your hands all crazy and blowing the horn, that's not showing patience, is it? Now, if you're just trying to let them know, hey, the lights turn, beep beep, that's okay. But you back there always waving your hands and you know, and telling them that the number one and all that kind of stuff. And y'all know what I mean by telling them they're number one, right? Using the other finger. And when you're doing that, that's not being very patient, y'all. So that's not love, is it? That's not love. So when your spouse or someone asks you to do something like mine does, and she fuss at me because I didn't empty the trash, she's not being patient. or or if you know getting dressed and you can't wait on the person and you're mad at them, while they're getting dressed, leave them. It's not being very patient, being understanding. But it also means other things too, doesn't it? It can mean, being patient could mean something like me and James Hall, I don't know, we go out together sometimes, go hunting or go fishing or something. I don't know, we hang out some, watch ball games, whatever. Now, I may be at a certain level. James may be at a different level as far as his spiritual walk with God. Maybe at a higher level than me. And I may not have the understanding that I need on something. And for James to just throw me away because I don't have that understanding and not want to be around me, he's not being patient. He's not allowing me to grow. So you've got to be patient with people that may not be on the same level with you spiritually. Now I'm not saying put up with mess. It's not what I'm saying. Put up with ungodly things. What I'm saying is if they're working on their walk, they're trying to learn, they're trying to grow, be patient. Help them along. Help them grow. You know. Yes, sir, yo.
I think from the spiritual side, when it comes to patience, I think we all have issues with it because we think we have to respond to everything. Sometimes patience is just keep your mouth closed, just being quiet. Just like you just said, from the spiritual side, you know, people are at different, places. So in that case, when I see you, it's better for me not to respond rather than respond and put you somewhere you don't need to be.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And sometimes it is best. I look at it like, let's say you have a child that doesn't have the understanding that you have, right? Now you don't berate a child that doesn't know something. You're patient with them usually, right? You work with them and say, no, 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 we don't do it that way. We do it this way, and try to give them a little bit of understanding of it, and they may not understand because they're children, right? So, but you're patient with them. You don't fuss at them or give up on them or whatever. And we need to be the same way with I get it, some adults, you know, you but you got to still be patient. Still be patient. So, all right. But love is patient. So if you love someone, you need to be patient. So if you're not being patient with people, you're not showing love. You're not showing
Because,
love.
when you look at it, God treats us the same way. He's patient with us. He don't always respond to us, but he does respond to us. But he responds to us at the time that he knows, this is what you need. This is where, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
like I
He
say,
knows.
we'll sit down and we're ask practical things. God might look at it and say, okay, you're not ready for this yet. I need you to move forward a little more.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. He knows what's best. He knows what's best. His timing is always perfect. All right. So love is patient. Love is kind and is not jealous.
yeah.
Ah. So James Hall got on a spiffy tie today. I shouldn't be jealous of that tie.
Breast cancer.
Breast cancer tie, and so I shouldn't be jealous of what he has. You know, and but now let's go back to the kindness. Do we show kindness to people all the time? That's one of the fruit of the spirit, right? You got joy and love and kindness, right? So are we kind to people, or do we give people a piece of our mind when they say something to us that's a little out the way? Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody walks up to you, like everybody this morning has walked up and spoken and smiled and hugged, and how you doing? You looking pretty today? You looking handsome today? Whatever. But what if somebody walks up to you and with a mean look on their face? They look up at you and scowl, and they don't say hello. Let's say you're not in here. Let's say you're out somewhere,
Do your part.
Are you still kind? Do you still smile and greet them correctly?
Do your part.
You know, we are to be kind, right? Right? Because we're to love our neighbors, right? And love who else? Our enemies, those that persecute us. So just because you see someone and they're not very open, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be. Anybody can love and be nice to somebody that's nice to them. But we're supposed to be special, right? We're supposed to be special. So we got to be able to love those that don't maybe not show us that same kindness.
I was going to put this out there. You know, we all heard is that when we were little, most kindness is dishonest. So if you see somebody who maybe they got a look on their face or they start talking and there's a certain tone in their voice, right? You being kind a lot of times will actually bring that person to calm down and come out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The last thing you want is if somebody's on the edge or they're in a certain space where it seems like they're ready for some kind of conflict, is for you to come in and say, I got a can of gas, baby.
Yeah. 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 That's true. That is true. People can be in a certain kind of mood and it's going there. And you can help it go ahead and keep going where it's going, or you can change the course and calm things down, can't you? Exactly, exactly. You know, because you know what the end result of them blowing up and you blowing up with them, you know, it's not going to be good, right? So if you love them, you love yourself, and you love them, you don't want that, you don't want to get to that finish line. So you need to change the course of where that conversation is going, don't you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very good point. Very good point. All right. Love does not brag and it's not arrogant. All right. I think that's pretty much self-explanatory. You know, Jane Hall walked in here looking handsome and fly today. You know, if he bragging on how good he looked, he's not supposed to do that. You know, why do people do that? Are we trying to build ourselves up, or are we trying to make people feel lower than us? Why would somebody do that? And James didn't do that, y'all. I was just saying
use
that.
me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use me. I do it because
You brag, you say?
no. That's what I'm saying is I like to try to make people smile, laugh. Whenever I see somebody and they don't have they're not really smiling or look like some, you know, I was about to say something about me. Like, don't I look good today? You know, just something to just maybe distract them long enough to realize, you know, it's not that serious, you know.
Mhm.
You should always have a smile on your face. You should always have something to smile about. As long as you're above ground, you should always have a reason to
Yeah,
smile.
yeah. I get what you're saying. You're saying you may make a statement like that, but you're not really bragging. You
No,
just, but I get what you're saying. But I think it's if you have that arrogance about you, you know, an air about you, about I'm better than you, type of when you make a statement such as that, you know, and that's I think it's bragging and the braggadocious or whatever the term is or whatever. Um, you know, you have that arrogance and you're above them and they're below you and you're trying to make sure they understand that. You know, no, that's not something we should be doing. You know, in fact, it probably shows part of us, something that we feel as if we need. You know, we're feeling low about ourselves and we got to brag on ourselves so that we feel better about ourselves. That's really, to me, that's partially what it shows. It may be really what's behind the whole thing. You know, is that we feel low, so we want to make somebody else feel low so that we don't feel as low. You know, and that's not love driven. Trying to make somebody feel bad about themselves or feel lower about themselves about something that they have or something that they've accomplished or whatever. That's not to me, that's not love. That's not love, y'all. I don't think it is. Where were we? All right. All right. Now what does love not do? Does not act unbecomingly. What's the term the Message Bible used, Gail? In 5?
Does not strut.
No, the first one in 5. Verse 5. What's the first thing it says? Does not behave what? Rudely. Okay. All right. So
Yeah,
All right, so yeah, you shouldn't be rude. In New American Standard, it said unbecomingly. So I just wanted I knew there's another term that she used. So yeah, you don't want to act rudely. You don't want to be rude to people. You don't want to be. I mean, all this is tied together. Being unkind, making somebody trying to feel low to themselves. You're not supposed to do that. So as we talked about a little earlier, if someone greets you, or you greet someone and they have a bad attitude or a bad look on their face, or just a sour, disposition about them, you don't be rude to them just because they're rude, right? You need to be kind at all times. Does not seek its own. What does that mean? Love does not seek its own. And y'all, and yeah, exactly. Y'all are probably thinking we can't mean that. Now, who in here always wants their way? Who in here doesn't ever want their way? Who in here tells the truth about those things? I'm gonna tell you, most people want their way. They want things with they want to be a Burger King, have it your way at Burger King. Wasn't that Burger King's our slogan? So everybody wants things their way. They want not just what you're eating, but everything. They want to, you want everything to happen the way you want it to happen, when you want it to happen, how you want it to happen. You got to get the right one. Um, and um, we shouldn't be that way. You know, and I use kids as an example because I think that's when I kind of learned. I guess we're talking about sacrificing a little bit. Usually, let's say you're traveling somewhere, right? You want to eat where you want to eat, right? But after you had kids and they traveling with you, what do you do? What y'all want to eat? Eat, huh? What's that? Compromise. But you pretty much gonna eat what they want to eat. They want McDonald's because they got the used to have the characters, the Ronald McDonald, all them, So they always want to go to McDonald's. So they're gonna turn into a chicken nugget, right? Eat so many chicken nuggets. But 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 you sacrifice for them instead of eating where you want to eat. You're going to go sit down, have meat and vegetables and all that. They don't want that. So you would sacrifice and not have your way. You give in to their way. Well, that's what love is about. It's not always got to be the way you want it. You should be willing to give to the other person. If you have a spouse, hold on, Jan, I'm coming to you. You have a spouse, and people split up a lot. There's a lot of divorce out here, right? And usually, I mean, I don't know because I ain't got divorced yet, but I can understand it happening. But usually, you're divorcing because you want something or two or three things this way. The other person wants two or three things this way. It could be money, could be where you're gonna live, could be how much money you're spending, could be the kind of car, could be anything, right? And so there's a difference in something that someone's not doing something that the other person wish they would do, and that person wish they do it this way instead of that way or whatever. But if you truly love that person, shouldn't you love them the way they are, with what they want, and why don't you give in to the way they want it? And a lot of people, I've heard people say, especially when I was younger, I'm older now, I don't have those conversations like I used to, but when I was younger, people got tired of always giving in to the other person. I'm always giving in. It's always this way. I always got to do this. Men, we walk in the restroom, we don't want to, we want to keep this toilet seat flipped up. Women always want you to set it down. And that's something simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
But people are getting divorced over things like such as that. Really. Now, women just like, it's right, it's a simple thing. Why don't y'all just put it down? And men are like, hey, it's a simple thing. You can just put it down when you go in to sit down. But things such as that is just, it's a rub that's there. And people get divorced over that because you got to have your way. And really, what is that really something not to be married for? Think about that. That's a straw that broke the camel's back, I got probably, but 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 still, things such as that. What's wrong? You don't mind giving your child what they need and giving up of yourself. So why can't you do it for your spouse, the person that you stood in front of, family, friends, and God, saying that you're going to forsake all others, and but no, we got to have our way. I got to go watch football on Sundays with the fellas. You just got to put up with that. You know. Now, I should be willing to stay home and watch football because she doesn't want me to go, or she should be willing to say it's fine. You can go do what you need to do with your fellas. But neither one wants to give in. You know. That's not showing love either way, is it? I don't know. Yes, sir.
Dirk used the word compromise.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you compromise so that you can have your way. So when you ask that question, nobody really wants to say anything, but that's what you're doing when you compromise. You're compromising so that you can get your way.
At
Going
least
back,
partially your way anyway, right? Yeah.
going back to what the example you use with traveling with kids, you compromise with the kids because as you're traveling, you want them to be sit back there and not be bothering you so you can go down the road peacefully. So you ask the kid what y'all want to eat so that you can get that comfort driving down the road. So that's what we do. That's why, like you say, sacrificing is, it really is such an important thing. You sacrifice so that you get the thing
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah. And we talked about that, right? We talked about you sacrifice for what you love, right? You labor for what you love. You work for what you love. So you know, if you're immovable, not willing to adjust or change, it's not showing love. If you love God, you can't keep living your life the same way you've been living it, King. You've got to change. But yet you don't want to show love to people. We got somebody over here first. But you don't want to show love to other people by changing a little bit. That's what love's about. Yes, sir.
I just want to ask the question: is sacrifice and compromise the same thing?
No,
Just to make sure everybody get a good understanding of that.
I don't think they are. One spell start with an S, one start with a C.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
That's two different words. Nah, I just being funny. But yeah. I mean, compromise to me is like, you're giving in some, but not totally. But sacrifice is giving up of something. And so yeah, I think it's a difference. Um, yes, sir.
But going
Who's
back,
next?
you're
One of you
talking
next,
about
James.
love. But in order to love, you gotta know what love is.
Yeah. Which is why I came to First Corinthians here.
Yeah, that's why you have difficulty even with church people
Yeah.
when it comes to love because they do not have the right understanding
Yeah.
of what love is or what love means.
Yeah, you're right.
Love is not an emotion. Love is an action.
Yeah. And there's sacrifice involved. Sacrifice involved. All right. Did you have a comment? Someone else? Yeah, comment over here. There we go.
Compromise it takes two more people. But to love is a singular act.
True.
Compromise, you both give up something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you love, it's not necessary that you both give up something.
Yeah. I agree. How many of you have ever seen someone, let's say they're in a marriage, and it may be the man or the woman, either one, and they seem to be just giving up everything of themselves. And you've looked at them and thought to yourself or said to your friends or said to them, girl, I wouldn't be doing all that for him. Or vice versa, bro, I wouldn't be doing that now. I wouldn't, she couldn't get me to do that. How many of us have thought that in our minds? You don't have to raise your hand. I'm just funny. You know, here's someone loving someone to the point that they're sacrificing for that person. But in our mind, we want to advise them they shouldn't be doing it. We think they're a fool for giving up this or stopping to do that or not doing this or whatever. Right? But they're loving.
why you don't go to other folks' house?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I understand that. But y'all have probably seen or heard that kind of thing, right? A group get together and they talking about somebody, man, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't let them do that or whatever. And it's like you say, it's a thought process rather than, the heart process. If you truly love, if it's truly love, you don't even feel as if you're giving up anything. Yes, sir.
When you look at all the different one another and what we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
a part of the big issue with us and being what we should is that God loved us so much that He just blessed us with all His abundance of things. Even to the point that He gave you an ego. Your ego is supposed to be there so that you can have confidence in yourself and be able to go out and be able to do, even in spite of, what kind of adversity or whatever you face. But the problem is, a lot of times, the gifts that God gives us, we either abuse them or we misuse them. That ego is the same thing. You got a business and you got locked this business up tonight. A lot of people, they got guard dogs, right? Well, these guard dogs, they vicious dogs. So they usually have them panned up or put up somewhere in the daytime, right? Then they let them out and they patrol the property at night. Your ego kind of the same thing. It's good for you as long as it's in the role that it's supposed to be
Hmm.
in. But as soon as that dog is off that leash when he ain't supposed to be off, somebody done got hurt that shouldn't have got hurt.
Hmm.
So we have to do a good job of managing our ego.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Got to put yourself on the back burner.
Gotta be on the leash.
If you're loving someone, you got to sacrifice and do that. All right. So love does not seek its own. It's not provoked. So that means even though somebody gets mad with you and talks to you kind of ugly, you don't talk ugly back to them. If you love, you don't talk ugly back to them, right? So it doesn't provoke you to be mad, or somebody frowns when you walk in. You still walk in with a smile. Tell them, hello, how you doing? You still be pleasant and kind. Don't let them provoke you to be like they were, right? Tell James I'll turn his microphone off out there. All right. It does not take into account a wrong suffered. What does that mean? Doesn't take into account a wrong suffered.
Got a short memory.
A short memory, right? What does that mean?
As soon as that moment or whatever it is happening, stop you. It don't come back up.
That's right. You don't keep score. You don't sit there and say, well, I cooked dinner for you last night. You owe me now. Huh? Huh? I took out the trash yesterday. I've said that before now. You don't want to fill it up in a day. Goodness, I just said it yesterday. But no, you don't keep score. Say, well, I did this for you. You got to do this for me. I keep doing this. You'll never do it. You're not supposed to be keeping score. If you love someone and you're sacrificing for them, you love them and you sacrifice for them. Period. It's not that you're doing it so that they'll do something for you. You're not doing it out of love if you're doing it just because they're going to give you something back. I mean, you go to work. Do you love work? You go there so they'll give you a paycheck, right? Right? But because you don't love them, they have to pay you. But your spouse or someone that you love, family members, good friends, church family, we don't have to pay you for what you do. We shouldn't have to pay you for what you do. You should be doing it gladly because it's in your heart to show the love, to do whatever sacrifice is necessary. Yes, sir.
Love is this is James Howard.
Uh-oh.
Love is a reward. Love gives a reward.
Mhm.
Because even with God, with our spiritual walk, He tells us that we should love our neighbor. And in response to loving our neighbor, He loves you. Then He'll allow things to happen in your life behind the love that you've shown that He instilled in you. So love is, and like I say, it is a reward from God.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're talking about success, right? And so we're talking about biblical success. If you seek God, and do the things he asks you to do, he will give you desires of your heart,
Oh, yeah.
right? So that's what we're talking. So what should we be doing? What has he commanded us to do? And that's what we're discussing now. And that's what these one another's, here are the one another's, how we should be with everyone else. And of course, we're just on love. And um, yeah, and of course, a few more things with love there. Doesn't, take into account the wrong suffered. Doesn't rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. So when something happens to somebody, you're not supposed to be glad. Oh yeah, they got what they deserve. Yeah, they walk around all high and mighty. They got knocked down in, didn't they? You shouldn't be happy that something happens to someone like that. You know? You should be sad. You should be grieving alongside them when something happens. Not happy. You don't rejoice because someone got caught up in some situation or whatever. Okay? You should rejoice in the truth. You should not be rejoicing in unrighteousness. All right? So, if you truly love, it's about love, y'all. It's about love. All right. So these are the things that now James Harden took up all this time. Now he's pointing at the clock. Y'all see that? Couldn't get him to be quiet. All right. So all of these things, these one another's, are how we should be treating people, because this is the way God wants us to live our lives. That's how he wants us to succeed socially, so that we can truly have success in our lives. All right. Any questions, comments, any of that?